Story 1. One person asked children's party entertainers about the wild things they had seen. Many children asked costumed characters such as Superman, Spider-Man, or the fairy godmother to take them away from abusive parents. Story 2. I don't know if creepy or just an insane story. It was about a man who abruptly left his entire life behind. On September 11, 2001, he got up and left New York City, his job, friends, possessions. He completely cut off contact, moved far away, took a new name and started a new life. He described in detail everything he left behind and what it was like to have a clean break. He acknowledged that people would be sad and hurt. Many assumed he died that day, but apparently he had simply had enough of everything and disappeared to start over. Not sure it's creepy. Definitely mind-blowing. Story 3. Honestly, threads about people living in your walls still haunt me. I couldn't sleep after reading them. Story 4. A thread titled "Has Anyone Met a Serial Killer from Years Ago?" contained genuinely disturbing stories. People casually describing interactions with someone who later turned out to be a murderer are unsettling. Any thread about national park disappearances becomes disturbing quickly. Story 5. From an AskReddit thread about the worst things veterans witnessed in combat. 1. In Afghanistan, a Marine described being in a secret romantic relationship with another Marine in the same platoon. One day, while they were handing out candy to local children in a village, a child ran up with a stuffed animal that contained an improvised explosive device. It detonated, killing the child and the other Marine. The Marine telling the story said he felt numb when the remains of his partner were collected and placed into body bags. 2. In Vietnam, a veteran recalled a heartbreaking incident involving a little girl who liked to draw and practice English with the American soldiers. She approached with a new backpack. A lieutenant, aware that Viet Cong sometimes hid explosives in bags, drew his pistol and shouted at her to drop it. Because she did not understand English, she kept smiling and walking. The lieutenant then shot and killed her. When the backpack was searched, it contained only crayon drawings of the soldiers. The soldiers pooled money to pay for the girl's funeral and other expenses. Her mother said little, only a simple thank you. The veteran said the moment ruined him for life. This is from a long ago AskReddit thread. Whether the stories are legitimate, I do not know. This is what the Redditors who replied wrote. Story 6. I remember reading a confession, made a few years ago, in which someone admitted to accidentally killing a child with a disability. Story 7. A young woman was pregnant with her new boyfriend's baby. They moved in with his mother. He always tried to get her to stay in the room and rest for the baby. One day she heard strange, passionate knocking and moaning. She now suspects her boyfriend is having sex with his mother and is too scared to confirm or confront them. Story 8. There was an AskReddit thread I read in 2019 where social workers described the worst cases of child abuse they had seen. It horrified me to my core. I did not sleep that night and felt terrible for hours. They described 9- and 10-year-old boys with incontinence resulting from abuse. The story that stayed with me was about a girl who refused to smile because her father reportedly forced her to smile while he sexually assaulted her. It was traumatizing. Story 9. For me, it's the woman whose husband and father-in-law were absolutely convinced she would die in childbirth. There was no update after she had her child, so it reads as if her husband and father-in-law were planning to murder her. Story 10. That was the one where the boyfriend fed his girlfriend her ground-up pet slugs. I should not have to say this, but leave her alone, everyone. Story 11. I came across a post a while back, something like, Doctors of Reddit. What is the worst injury or case you have ever seen? In it, someone shared a horrifying story about a 1-year-old girl who had her lips numbed at the dental office and then chewed off her entire lower lip. She required multiple surgeries to repair the damage. Just thinking about it makes my skin crawl. Story 12. A woman had her soon-to-be ex-husband commenting on things she did when he was not at the house. She could not find the cameras, and they were never updated. This was more than 9 years ago. Story 13. There was a thread where someone asked people who had raped another person to explain why. This was a long time ago. It might even have been in a subreddit called Ask a Rapist, which is now banned. I felt visceral fear while scrolling through that thread. Story 14. There is a good subreddit for this called creepiest Reddit. The worst one I saw was a trauma-based question. I do not remember the post name, but one comment stuck out. A user described having to perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation on an infant. They explained that they accidentally ruptured the baby's lungs by blowing too much air. It was absolutely traumatizing. From what I remember, the baby did not survive. Even typing this makes me sad. Story 15. I find reports of near-miss encounters with strangers the most memorable, such as someone realizing they narrowly avoided being kidnapped or stalked. Those threads stick with me far more than paranormal stories. Story 16. I read an AskReddit thread a while ago about teenagers' experiences in the troubled teen industry. How this industry still exists in 2025 blows my mind. Story 17. That one where all the truckers are talking about the weirdest stuff they have seen. Story 18. All the bot posts asking the same questions dominate Reddit. It is amusing because we seem perfect for training artificial intelligence. We always answer the same questions with the same answers. What's a truth about life people aren't really prepared for? No one is coming to save you. Women of Reddit, what do you find attractive about men? Rolled up sleeves. Story 19. In hindsight, I made it my mission to inform people. Every time there is a thread asking, what's the most disturbing book you've read? One man posts graphic descriptions of a book in which prisoners are punished with things related to their crimes. He describes an animal abuser locked in a room with dog breath. When people reply to his first comment, he tries to get them to describe how bad it would be. I saw his posts for years. I talked to him many times and thought we were uncovering an old lost book because I found the concept interesting. A few months ago, I went to a horror book subreddit to see if they could help me find it. To their credit, they gave me plenty of good leads, but it turned out there is no book. Instead, over many years he has posted across multiple subreddits about a fetish for animal breath. As one person found, he was also trolling about sea lion vomit. He posts on this subreddit, the No Stupid Questions subreddit, the Zookeeping subreddit, the Prison subreddit, and probably more, bringing people into his fetish. It disgusts me that I became another person he was being creepy to and that he targets innocent people, so I have made it my cause to warn people about this degenerate. Edit. Do not reply to Dagmar over by. I am very sure that is him. His word choices are undeniably the same. Edit 2. He actually found another comment I made the other day to talk about dog breath. Definitely him. Story 20. This one takes the cake. You want to go upstairs? Story 21. The story about people finding hidden cameras in their homes. Story 22. Oh goodness. I started reading and thought it meant ghosts and aliens. I had no idea creepy referred to trauma and abuse. This is too much for this early Sunday. Talk among yourselves. Story 23. I once saw a post from a young person who misinterpreted their parents' behavior and asked for inappropriate advice. People responded with detailed, disturbing suggestions. Story 24. It depends on what you mean by creepy. Excluding morally dubious material, my pick would be a collection of accounts of people's supernatural experiences. There were many good stories in it that left me spooked. Story 25. Years ago, I made a post on the Ask Americans forum directed at people who own guns for self-defense and whether they are prepared to kill someone. The answers were wild. I understood some of them better, particularly from people who said they lived somewhere it would take emergency responders half an hour to arrive. One guy's story stayed with me. He said a man was in front of his house in the middle of the night, knocking over garbage cans and behaving in a potentially dangerous way. The commenter had loaded his gun and was aiming at him when the man turned and walked away. The next day, the commenter saw on the news that the man had dementia and had escaped from a local care facility. He said he was horrified that he had almost killed a harmless, confused person. So many people in that thread seemed to think they were John Wick. Even putting aside the moral issues of threatening people with guns, I was baffled by the absolute confidence many showed that in a home invasion they would calmly shoot an intruder. I said I did not know if I could, because in much milder situations I tend to shut down in fear. Someone told me I would be weak and pathetic if I could not kill to protect my family. As someone from a country where barely anyone owns a firearm, much less for self-defense, I was stunned reading that thread. Story 26. There is an Ask a Cop subreddit where a video shows 3 police officers killing an unarmed young person with autism. Despite his disability, he was doing a remarkable job following multiple conflicting directions he was given. He wore a smile the whole time and was unaware he was about to be killed under the pretext of officer safety. Every comment under the video praised the officers for their patience and dissected negative aspects of the victim's short life to justify the killing. I saw thousands of comments and conversations, and not one person was offended or upset about the killing. I do not care whether you believe it. Frankly, your refusal to believe that something like this happens says more about you than me. Story 27. A man suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning believed his landlord was breaking in and leaving creepy notes. It turned out he had written the notes himself while hallucinating. The Reddit community saved his life. Story 28. The thread where people shared, "Someone's been living in my attic" stories still haunts me. Story 29. That subreddit is just artificial intelligence bots literally responding to artificial intelligence bots. All posts and threads are by bots. It is absolutely terrifying. Story 30. A thread based on a true story. Hotel security. What is the creepiest thing you have ever found in a hotel room? Story 31. The thread where they asked about killers or psychopaths or something disturbing, and a psychologist said it is dangerous to give them attention like this. Story 32. Maybe not an AskReddit thread, but I asked a question in the Coronavirus Disease 2019 subreddit when I was sick. I received a response from a man a few days later asking if I was feeling better. After I replied, he sent repeated, inappropriate messages about my condition. When I looked at his profile, he had been sexually harassing people in nursing and medical condition subreddits and asking people to shove thermometers into his butt. Story 33. Every single post asks people about their first time seeing pornography or their first time masturbating. Requesting sexual stories involving minors is disgusting. Story 34. I cannot remember much else, but it has stuck with me for the last year or two. A person on Reddit said a cousin or relative would press the soft spots on babies for fun. They said the family had a high rate of special needs. Story 35. I remember a story about a man who said that periodically throughout his life a mysterious figure would appear nearby, whistling a simple melody. He experienced it since childhood and even after moving. He had several videos, and each showed a figure at a distance whistling the same tune. One video showed someone in a kayak slowly rowing away while whistling. I do not remember any other details or know how true it was, but it was a spooky read. Story 36. Ask a Rapist was disgusting and dangerous because it promoted that line of thinking. Story 37. Someone asked for help finding a YouTube video of a person kicking a dead hamster into a wall. Sir? Story 38. A recent post where someone asked what my masturbation method was. I am something of an open book on Reddit, but not that open. Story 39. In this thread, there are people who don't know the difference between creepy and horrific. For fuck's sake. Story 40. The other day a man asked about D-size. Whenever a woman commented, he would ask her to look at his profile and tell him what she thought. Then he posted duplicates. He was extremely desperate, creepy, and weird. Story 41. I will skip this one because the creepiest answers will be consolidated. I am not going to do it, original poster. Story 42. This one because it contains all the creepiest ones. Story 43. Years ago there was a thread asking something like, if you are a rapist, why do you do it? It was taken down quickly, but I remember a user named Philosophy of Rape. Reading his profile was disturbing. The way he answered and spoke made it clear he really was a rapist and not just pretending or trolling. I cannot find the screenshots I took except one from another user, but reading his profile was very dark. He went in depth about rape, why he does it, and his opinions about women. It was really disturbing. Story 44. The man who asked whether he should use heroin tracked his addiction, and he eventually died. It was horrible. Story 45. I said this in another thread, A post by Reddit user Anadol Teenager said he drugged a child and addicted him to driving and creating ruts in his lawn. The casualness and pride in that post were deeply disturbing. Story 46. I read a creepy story and I cannot remember the whole thing because I think I blocked it out. I would be so happy if someone found it. It was about someone who saw the same car with the same license plate following him everywhere. Eventually, he met the driver in a bar and thought the driver was an alien. The alien said, "I will follow you forever." Does this sound familiar to anyone? Story 47. A child said that a man was in their room again, and the parents later found footprints on the inside of the windowsill. I still think about it. Story 48. I wasn't expecting it to hit me so hard. It came from the Green Text subreddit. A man told a story about his younger brother who died of cancer. He remembered one time when he was rude to him after his brother wanted to show him something in Minecraft. After his brother died, he opened the game and saw words built from blocks that said, "Happy birthday, brother. I am almost 30 and have a younger brother." And it made me cry. Story 49. The Ask a Rapist thread from several years ago. I'm glad they shut that down. I remember seeing one Reddit user asking the original poster if he regretted what he did, and the man admitted that he fantasized about his crimes. It was next-level disturbing. Story 50. Let this be a lesson to this subreddit. Do not ask questions you are not prepared to have answers for. Story 51. There was that guy who asked women if they were genuinely sentient. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.